Shalom, everyone. My name is Eliad, and I'm the Partnership Director of the Yokneam, Megido, Atlanta, St. Louis Partnership. And in the upcoming minutes, we're going to talk about the partnership, about the uniqueness of the partnership, and about the impact of the investment of your federation in our region. So I will share the screen. I prepared a short presentation for you. Okay. And we will start with a little bit of history. In 1994, the Jewish Agency for Israel decided to establish the partnership unit. In the partnership unit, the main goal was to create personal connections between Jewish communities all around the world and Israel. They took the state of Israel, split it, divided it into units. Nowadays, we have 46 units, and each unit is connected to a different part in the world, not only in North America, but in the world. For instance, South Africa is connected to Bet Shemesh, Cleveland with Bet Shean, Ha'arava with Australia, and Atlanta and St. Louis is connected to Yokneam and Megido. So I will be a local patriot and will say that this is the best place in Israel to be connected to. But if we want to talk with data and to be more realistic, Yokneam and Megido, it's actually a microcosm of all Israel. And there are several reasons for it that I'm going to share with you. First of all types of settlements are in our small region. We have a city of 25,000 citizens. You can see the high-tech park, very flourishing place that was not like this 25 years ago, and we're going to talk about it. We have a city, we have a kibbutz, we have 9 kibbutzim in the regional council of Megido. A kibbutz is a communal settlement, shared property. We have a moshav, an agricultural settlement without shared property, or most of it is not shared. And we have a moshava with only agricultural settlements. By the way, all the pictures that you're going to see in this short presentation are people that came from St. Louis and visited our region and had the opportunity to also experience these kinds of types of settlements. More about a microcosm, we have denominations, we have Reform, Conservative, Modern Orthodox, Chabad, and Haredim, only in our small region. We have new immigrants who came from Ethiopia, former Soviet Union, Yemen, and born and raised Israelis. And this is something that we're going to talk about, the investment of the Federation in our region for the Ethiopian community mainly. We're going to talk about the impact of it in our region. We have the coexistence program because we live close to our villages and we have programs of teenagers from both sides communicating and having shared programs. And of course, the historical and the biblical aspects in our region. Both of the cities, Yokneam and Megido are mentioned in the Bible. There are a lot of archaeological digs, and this is our region. Now let's get back again to the partnership unit. Each partnership has 2 main legs. The first leg is the community development, the investment of social welfare from the Federation to help to needy population, to help with poverty or other needs that have in each partnership. And the second leg is the people-to-people program. We call it Kesher, connection, connecting between people from St. Louis to our region, Yokneam and Megido. It can be with missions, hosting missions, can be home hospitality, whether it's for 3 days or only for a dinner. We have school twinning programs and connecting between educators. And we're going also to focus a little bit about it at the end of the presentation. In Yokneam, the main investment of the Federation in our region in Yokneam is towards the Ethiopian community. And honestly, it can take like 2 or 3 semesters just to share about this amazing community and the story that they had coming from Ethiopia, started in the 70s, 80s, 90s, to Israel. And the fact that even now, after 30 years, this community, with all of the story that they had during the way from Ethiopia to Sudan by foot, the people call it like the second exodus from Egypt when they came to Israel. Still, nowadays, they are all the time comes last in all the scales and all the statistics, whether it's matriculations rate, drop out of schools, dropping out of the army, poverty, education, high education, and still, this is something that we focus in order to change, to make the changes in the lives of the people who are now in our community in Yokneam. And you can see here like a list of part of the needs and the challenges of the Ethiopian community. Part of them that I've mentioned is the cultural gap. They come from one community, from one culture to a different culture, to Israel, and this clash between those two kinds of cultures creates all those kind of challenges and needs that were raised. The crime, the low income, the low level jobs, cleaning, and this is something that we also try to change in our partnership. High rates, as I mentioned before. And in the picture that you see here, you see ladies in one of the programs that we have in the Ethiopian Community Center. It is a theater group where they have the opportunity to share their culture and be proud and empower themselves by sharing about the beauty of the Ethiopian culture. But even just to share one story of one lady that sits in front of you. So she made Aliyah from Ethiopia when she was a young girl. She got married very young in Israel. She lived in Yokneam, and she suffered from violence from her husband. And after a few months of living as a new couple, she started to have a deep depression, a mental illness issues, and she decided not to go to to quit her job. She was also pregnant during the time, and I think that the help of the community center and the staff and the professional people that came to her home hand by hand and helped her, first of all, to get treatment, to be able to say, yes, I need to get the help. And the director of the community center says that after 7 months of treatment, she started to go back to her job. And now she also got divorced from her husband. And I think that this story, that now she can stand in front of other ladies and share her story, can be an inspiration to other ladies in her community. And of course, something that we can be really proud of a change that was made in the life of a lady in our community in Yokneam. And now a little bit data about the impact of the investment in the Ethiopian community. We can see higher education from 10 students to 57 students in the last 5 years. And I think this is something that we can really be proud of. The matriculation rate among Ethiopian graduates in Israel, it's 65%, and in our community in Yokneam, it's 79%. Of course, we have room for improvement, and the Israeli average is 85, but still, we can be very happy and proud about the situation here in our community in Yokneam. Dropout rates, when in the rest of the Israel, it's 3.5 of the Ethiopian community. In Yokneam, it's 0.5. The unemployment, and you know, things changed, especially because of COVID, and I will mention it at the end. So less than 3% before COVID. Now numbers are in a raise, in an increase, unfortunately. And the discrimination in our region, according to surveys that were made in the last few years, they don't feel discriminated comparing to other cities in Israel. And maybe this is also can give the answer to what we see in the press and in the media after George Floyd demonstration all over the world. It's something that happened also in Israel, but less in Yokneam. You cannot see like demonstration as you saw in other places, in other cities in Israel. Now we're going to jump to the Moshavim, to Regional Council of Megido. And as I said before, we have a kibbutzim, the kibbutz, we have a Moshavim, and we have 3 Moshavim, En Ha'emek, Eliakim, and Midrach Oz, that the investment of the Federation is focused mainly now on the youth from several sociological reasons. The Moshavim, the youth in the Moshavim still suffer from different kind of addiction to alcohol, crime, juvenile delinquencies, and we can really understand the need for change, especially in the Moshavim. The programs that we do and we focus in the Moshavim with the youth are programs that connect them to the entire community. There is Kidum Noar, that students who drop out of school and they have like a special place that they learn there. and they are very, very proud to study there. And I'm sure people that can see, we also can see people from St. Louis there, you can ask them about how the spark in their eyes when they're talking about the place that they study, and how they changed their life and how they decided to help other people and volunteer in the community. And this is something that empowered them. We have also the program of Youth Futures for kids and teens at risk that also works in the Moshavim communities in the Regional Council of Megido. And I, by the way, was a trustee 10 years ago, and I can share so many stories about the impact of the programs, about specific people. You can see here, for instance, a picture from last week in the middle about the trustee who decided to take the student outside for a breakfast because she felt that she needed a hug. And although part of the schools don't meet, and of course now it's the summer vacation, but they felt that they need to take her out and be with them in this specific time. Again, some of the example of the outcomes in the Moshavim, a few data that you can be very proud of in our region. Dropout rates are around 1.5% to 1%, which is lower than the national average. Significant decrease in the number of kids from the Moshavim that were diagnosed with difficulties in first grade. And this is something that we can understand because of the gap and because of all the sociological issues and reasons, there are the gaps. And from one year to another, with the helps and with the programming, we can see a decrease in the diagnosed with difficulties for the first grade, and decrease in police interference in the Moshavim, which is very important for the community itself, the entire community, and for the teens themselves. If you remember at the beginning, we said that the partnership are divided into two legs. Each partnership has two legs: the community development that I've shared now, and the people-to-people program, all the cashier program, all the missions, and teen to teen, young adults to young adults. So first of all, why? What is so important? I'm sure that each one of you, if I would just ask you, if it was not too late at night for me, I would ask you, and you will have many, many reasons why nowadays, why today it's very important to create and to establish these kind of personal connections. So we can see here, according to Pew study and according to different researches about the distancing of North American Jewry from Israel, if in the past people hold hands and say, yes, we are together with Israel, nowadays, it's more often divisive than uniting. And the programs that we are doing is to create the personal connection. I was a shaliach 5 years ago. I lived in Omaha, Nebraska, and I was a shaliach, a central shaliach of 14 communities in the Midwest. And most of the programs that I met with teens and young adults, I understand their need to be connected to Israelis in order to really understand, to be well educated about Israel. When they will ask question of Israel as an apartheid state, you can learn about, even in our region, how the connections and how the need to create connections between the Arabs and Jews on both communities and have the personal relationships. The both pictures you can see in the upper picture is from Israel Bound. They spent 3 days together at their homes in the kibbutz. And the other picture is from the Epstein School, who met also with a yeshiva group in our region. And here, just share with you a few programs from last year. And we are really miss the people that come to our region to visit. We miss to open the door and to have the hospitality for our people, for our friends from St. Louis. And I think that you can really understand the impact of having a personal dinner with a person, with a family in our region, having the opportunity to ask open questions about the Israeli society, and vice versa, our people from our region to ask questions from their friends to their friends from St. Louis. This is a menu that our steering committee, by the way, we have a group of an amazing lay leaders, 14 lay leaders that sit together, and whenever a mission comes, they think how they can upgrade it and make it the best place to the people that come from St. Louis. So they created a menu of all the things that they can do in our region, if it's with the high-tech, sport and hiking, Israeli heritage. Do you remember that I said that I'm a local patriot of our region and all the programs that is like a microcosm of all Israel. Now, we're going to talk in 1 or 2 minutes about the situation now, today in our region. COVID-19 changed a lot of things in our region and even in our partnership. If in the past we focused on all the programs that we do, that were most of them even together, gathering Ethiopian over 25 or 30 people in one room, having programs with them, now we have a real need for basic needs. Over 2,500 people enter to the ranks of the unemployment, and this is something that when the people lack the food on the table, it's a different situation. And together with the Federation, together with the colleagues that we have in the Jewish Federation of St. Louis, we decided to shift from specific programs for food to buy coupons for, to have coupons for food for the Ethiopian community and for specific families in the Moshavim. Elderly, the Jewish Federation of St. Louis also invests in Gilor and in the senior center in Yokneam, 2 senior centers that now, because of the COVID, they are locked. There was a lockdown, and now they're closed because it's forbidden to elderly to go to be together in these places. So now they don't have the warm meal that they used to get in the centers. Part of the money are for food, for all warm meals that people come, knock at the door for the people, for the elderly, for the seniors, sit with them, talk to them, and have the opportunity to listen to the needs that raise because of the corona to this specific population. So this is something that maybe even after that, Mindy will share with you a short video about the impact and of this investment and how they changed the life for people in our region. And if we had, again, 2 legs, so now we also have the part of the people to people. We decided to create a virtual partnership village with programming for both sides. We know it's very challenging and difficult times that both of us sit at home. We cannot go outside and meet other people. So during the first wave in Israel, now we're in the second wave. So in the first wave in Israel, we opened the partnership village where we had 2 or 3 programs almost every week. These are the programs that we had during the Independence Day and the Memorial Day on the right side. And now also last week we had a mission from people from your community that came to visit in our region virtually with the people from, forgot the name of the company, but they came and visited in our region. And on the left side, and you are the first group to see this, it's a program that we're doing now supporting lone soldiers from St. Louis and Atlanta with all the challenges to be as lone soldiers. Now we know it's even much more difficult, and we're going to come to their bases with parcels, with goodies, with warm meals, and make them happy, and to have each one of them will have a family in Yokneam to strengthen the connection between the Yokneam and Megido community to the St. Louis friends that are now in Israel. And next week, we're going to start a fundraise from Israelis who wants to support. And this is actually the first fundraise that we're doing in our community, in our committee, in our partnership. And this is something that I'm very proud and happy to share, just to share how the connection between both communities is getting stronger and stronger because of programs that come and ideas from both sides of the ocean. Hope it was good for you to learn about all the programs that you are part of in our region. And I want to thank you, really thank you about all the investment and all the caring that we feel from the people in St. Louis, in our region, and the people in our community really knows about the people and the friends and the donors that we have on the other side of the ocean, that they are like our close family. In order for us to be in touch, please enter to our group, Facebook group, that will be updated almost every week. We have 2 or 3 new posts about things that happen in our partnership, and I'm sure that you will be very happy and very proud. And we are waiting you to come to visit us in our region when, God willing, Corona will disappear. And thank you so much for listening. Bye.